The last World Cup left a warning for anyone who dug too deep.
You can break the camera. You want to break the camera? Okay, you break the camera. Okay. Yes. So you're threatening us by smashing the camera.
A history of spying, cover-ups, and lies.
Spy work on some of the rival bid teams, as well as FIFA officials.
Bribery and corruption.
Come on, here we go, Seth.
And the moment that shocked the world of football forever.
Through these organizations, engaged in bribery to decide who would televise games, where the games would be held.
UEFA is deeply shocked and saddened by them. These events show, once again, that corruption is deeply rooted in FIFA's culture.
This is the Sterling Report, where we track the patterns of today before they become tomorrow's new normal. Qatar World Cup 2022. To get into a stadium, every fan had to install an app. Europe's privacy regulators, France, Germany, Norway, pulled it apart and found it demanded spyware-level access, your location, your calls, the power to read and delete your files. Russia World Cup 2018. Fans needed a brand new government ID to enter the stadium. They called it the Fan ID, a first for the country. The games ended, the ID didn't. By 2022, it was law for domestic football. And today, 8 years on, you still can't enter a stadium without one. Brazil World Cup 2014 introduced facial recognition Robocop glasses, tracking 400 faces a second, and added thousands of cameras. Today, Sao Paulo alone runs over 50,000 cameras, with over 20,000 of them reading faces in real time. They call it Smart Sampa. Before we look at the forgotten history of the World Cup, let's move to the present day. There are 7 systems actively tracking your every move. We start with the robots. 4 camera-equipped robot dogs, built by Boston Dynamics, are patrolling Dallas and New Jersey. Mexico's rolling out its own. Officially, they're not scanning faces. So what exactly are they scanning? Because if a machine is there to spot threats in a crowd, it has to watch the crowd. The bodies, the bags, the movement, and the behavior. They can play word games with the term facial recognition all they like. But a camera that walks through a crowd is still surveillance. Next, we have one that certainly wasn't on your bingo card. The stadium Wi-Fi isn't just Wi-Fi. It's surveillance with a login screen. It's run by Extreme Networks, the NFL's fan analytics provider, now operating across the same stadiums hosting the World Cup. The moment you connect, it starts mapping you, where you walk, how long you linger, which apps you open, a whole profile built from one free connection. Then there are the counter-drone systems. Led by Fortem Technologies, a defense contractor whose autonomous drone hunters were battle-tested in Ukraine and built to bring down Iranian attack drones. Now they patrol the stadiums. To find a target, some of these systems listen to the airwaves, and Congress's own researchers warn that kind of interception can run into the Wiretap Act. The GAO warns it can sweep up bystanders too. So when it's scanning the sky above 80,000 people, what else is it catching? Officially, nobody will say. If all that wasn't marvelous enough, then come the license plate readers made by a company called Flock. Wired counted 1,181 of them near the US World Cup stadiums alone. And nationwide, Flock scans some 20 billion vehicles a month. But license plate reader undersells what these cameras do.
Anna Elzer learned the power of Flock firsthand.
You were in town from 11:52 until 12:09. Exactly.
It doesn't just detect license plates, it detects people. These black mechanical ravens are starting to dot your landscape. This database that has been developed indefinitely includes you and your personal movements. Now imagine this, you roll out of your driveway at 7:12 in the morning, same as always, headed to work, to the store, to drop the kids off at school. The Flock is perched overhead, it tracks your movements, it reads your plate, it snaps the make, model, color, the stickers, even the dent from the last winter. It builds your complete vehicle fingerprint and logs the exact timestamp and GPS.
They'll tell you the data stays local and gets deleted in 30 days, never shared with ICE, except the audit logs show officers running searches with ICE and immigration, typed right into the reason box.
A University of Washington study from last month shows the feds have gotten a hold of flock images and data from several local law enforcement agencies.
And one Texas cop searched the entire country for a woman who'd had an abortion. Park near the stadium, and you're in the file before you reach the gate. Next comes the one that is hiding in plain sight. Your FIFA ticket doesn't sit in your pocket anymore. It lives inside an account on your phone tied to a digital identity trail. The ticket app's privacy label says its identifiers can follow you across other apps and websites. And FIFA's own data page for ticket buyers goes further still. It collects your passport or national ID number, your IP address, your social media details, health and safety information, even criminal history, and it usually keeps all of it for 10 years. That's not just a ticket, that's an identity file. Facial recognition is literally everywhere in the world, and the World Cup is no exception. Gillette in Boston, Hard Rock in Miami, Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, all three host the World Cup. All three already read your face at the gate. Walk up, look at a tablet, walk in. No ticket, no phone. Your face buys the beer as well. A government ID and a bank card linked to your face. They're careful with the words. They call it authentication, not recognition. Opt-in, they insist. There's also no federal law saying it can't. Other countries like Brazil do it as well. How long before it is rolled out to every event worldwide? And finally, the CCTV cameras. Thousands being wired now across Vancouver, Atlanta, Seattle, and Texas, already raising privacy concerns from the public. Qatar wired more than 15,000 of them for the 2022 World Cup, and regulators exposed spyware apps that attendees had to download. More on that in a moment, and as we already covered, Brazil and Russia did the same in earlier years. All throughout history, you can trace this back to the same playbook. A big event such as the World Cup or the Olympic Games arrives. This is then used as an excuse to push surveillance, tracking, and infrastructure further. Once the event is over, the system remains on. So what really happened at the last World Cup? From surveillance apps to hacking the critics, and even buying the vote with every bit of it on record.
We are live on Danish television, og der kan I se, nu bliver vi stoppet med at filme, og det er forholdene her. Mister, you invited the whole world to you invited the whole world to come here. Why can't we film? It's a public place.
There is a very good reason they didn't want journalists around. The truth goes deeper than you can imagine.
We can film with this permit. This is the upgrade pass, and this is the accreditation. Okay. We can film anywhere we want. Okay. There are only, of course.
Permit for the Qatar. Qatar, you have because the Qatar is a
No. We don't need permit. But you can break the camera. You want to break the camera? Okay, you break the camera. Okay. Yes. So you're threatening us by smashing the camera.
Let's start with the apps. To get into the stadium, you needed to install 2 apps. Hire to get through the gate, and Etaraz, the COVID one for transport, and ID. Researchers found out the apps wanted to read, change, and delete anything on your phone. It could make calls from your device, track your location, even keep the screen from sleeping and locking. France's data regulator looked at that and told people to bring a burner phone. Germany said the same. Norway's head of security said he'd never bring his own phone to Qatar.
Qatar is requiring them to download an app on their phone. Well, European privacy regulators are like, do not download that app. That app is a massive security and spyware threat. Oh boy.
If that wasn't bad enough, researchers also found the apps track mobile phones that are near you. In this way, they can cross-link the information and find out who you are meeting and talking to. What was the outcome? Mid-tournament, researchers found compromised hire accounts turning up for sale on the dark web. But the surveillance and the corruption behind it runs far deeper, from the alleged bribes that helped Qatar secure the right to host the tournament to the hacking campaign that kept it. Investigators uncovered 3 separate operations, tracking and targeting the critics who spoke out against the Gulf state, and burrowing deep inside FIFA itself, all to make sure the World Cup stayed under their control.
Kevin Chalker is a former CIA officer who went to work for the Qataris in 2010 when they were bidding on the World Cup. And our investigation has found that some of the work he did for them was to basic spy work on some of the rival bid teams, as well as FIFA officials. Our investigation found that some of the techniques that Chalker discussed using included setting up a fake Facebook profile of an attractive young woman to try and get a target to talk to them.
One of the 3 operations exposed included an Indian firm called Appin, dressed up as a cybersecurity company, but in practice a crew of mercenary hackers allegedly hired by Qatar to target the critics who spoke out against it. A second investigation by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism and the Sunday Times cracked open the database of Whiten, a firm built by a hacker Appin itself had trained. Over 100 targets worldwide hacked for whoever paid. A Swiss president, several Formula One bosses, and among them, Qatar's critics, including the former head of European football, Michel Platini. The second operation was Project Clockwork, the work of an American intelligence firm, Global Risk Advisors, run by ex-CIA officer Kevin Chalker and working for Qatar, and the leaks laid the plan out in black and white, a global smear campaign to destroy Qatar's critics, with the dirt fed straight to the FBI. The slides named the targets, Frank Lowy and Theo Zwanziger, 2 of Qatar's loudest critics, and spell out the method in their own words: character denigration. Deadline demands brute force attack, and after all of it, it failed. Zwanziger never stopped calling Qatar a cancer on world football. But Clockwork was only the first part. With the cup awarded and the criticism rising, Chalker's mission hardened: stop FIFA at any cost from ever taking the tournament back from Qatar. So they built something far bigger, the third operation, Project Merciless. A plan in its own words for predictive intelligence and total informational awareness. And it's not just leaked documents anymore. The FBI has been investigating Chalker for months, including his surveillance work for Qatar. According to the investigation, Chalker flew to Zurich on Qatar's orders to bug the hotel rooms of FIFA's executives and the journalists covering them. Surveillance could watch the critics. It couldn't silence a parliament. So as Europe moved to condemn Qatar over the workers who died building its World Cup, Qatar allegedly reached for a different kind of control: influence bought in cash.
Former Vice President of the European Parliament, Eva Kaili, and 3 other people have been charged and imprisoned in Belgium in connection to a corruption scandal that has rocked the EU.
Days before Qatar's World Cup, Eva met its ministers in Doha and called the hosts a frontrunner in labor rights. Then police found the bags of cash.
An investigation into bribes paid by Qatar to European politicians. Now, Kaili had visited Qatari officials and given a speech in the European Parliament just last month, defending Qatar's right to host the Cup, whitewashing its terrible record on human rights.
The World Cup in Qatar is a proof, actually, of how sports diplomacy can achieve a historical transformation of a country, with reforms that inspired the Arab world.
A couple of days ago, Belgium authorities announced they were investigating alleged claims of substantial money payments by a Gulf state to influence MEP decisions. European media have since claimed the state is Qatar, the current host of the World Cup.
So we had spying on attendees through the official apps, alleged bribery to silence Qatar's critics inside the European Parliament. But what about the bid itself for the right to host the games? In 2019, the Sunday Times revealed leaked documents alleging Qatar secretly offered FIFA over $800 million in TV deals around the 2010 vote, including a success fee it would only pay if Qatar won. Qatar and FIFA deny it all.
And soon after, it came to light that bribes had been exchanged. The awarding of the World Cup to Qatar would be the beginning of a series of serious and very costly troubles for FIFA.
Where is my security? Come on. Come on. Here we go, sir.
Now we move on to Russia's World Cup in 2018. The proof it wasn't a one-off. Like Qatar, it began with the 2010 vote. US prosecutors say Russia bought the games, Officials promised millions, moved through shell companies to bury it. It was one thread in a far bigger case. The indictment lays it out, and the arrests quickly followed.
These individuals, through these organizations, engaged in bribery to decide who would televise games, where the games would be held, and who would run the organization overseeing organized soccer worldwide.
The U.S. Justice Department unsealed the massive 47-count indictment on Wednesday.
April 6, 2020, a 69-page federal indictment unsealed in Brooklyn. FIFA Vice President Jack Warner, $5 million to vote for Russia. The head of Guatemalan football promised $1 million more. Days before the money moved, an email reached Warner's assistant. One line, "What was agreed is what is being done this week." Then it landed. 10 shell companies, Anguilla, Cyprus, the British Virgin Islands, more than 24 separate wires into a single account in Trinidad.
Is there a plea deal that you've accepted or are going to accept in return for sharing information on Sepp Blatter?
No, I said 4 years ago that I have nothing more to do with Sepp Blatter and international football, and I meant this. I think
Warner fought extradition for 10 years, lost his final appeal in London. Then his lawyers found the catch. There was never a valid extradition agreement between Trinidad and the United States. September 2025, permanent stay. He walked. But Warner was only one piece of a much larger investigation, one that did not stop with Russia, but allegedly reached the Qatar bid as well. Corruption was alleged to stretch back as far as 24 years.
The raids were connected to a US Department of Justice indictment charging 14 defendants with racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering over a 24-year period. The FBI also raided CONCACAF headquarters in Miami. Then, in a separate development, electronic data was seized from FIFA headquarters as Swiss authorities opened criminal proceedings into the allocation of the Russia and Qatar World Cups.
UEFA is deeply shocked and saddened by them. These events show, once again, that corruption is deeply rooted in FIFA's culture.
The Americans weren't the first to look. Years before the arrests, FIFA investigated itself. It hired a former US prosecutor, Michael Garcia. The full report ran 430 pages. FIFA buried it and published a 42-page summary that cleared everyone. Garcia called the summary materially incomplete and erroneous.
Garcia, now well known for his corruption report on the 2018 and 2022 World Cup bids, cited a lack of leadership on ethics issues as his reason for quitting. FIFA had released a revised 42-page summary of Garcia's report that cleared Russia and Qatar of wrongdoing during the bidding process. Garcia said the revision flat-out misrepresented his findings.
Even in the cut version of his report, it is stated that Russia gave the inquiry almost nothing. The bid team's computers destroyed. The emails never recovered from Google. Russia proceeded to host the World Cup like nothing happened. Now, the surveillance and how much of you Russia harvested. It's the blueprint for what we're living through 8 years later in today's games. Introducing NtechLab, the company behind reading every face at the gates.
More than 100,000 cameras installed in public housing and other city building entrances has gradually approached the next stage of its technological core update. By means of the new generation facial recognition technology, the system performs real-time analytics of incoming video data and enables automated post-event searching.
So you must be thinking, fine, we all know about the facial recognition. What is the big deal? As we keep saying all along, the games are an excuse to usher in more control and surveillance. After the games, the technology kept on ramping up so much that in July 2023, the European Union imposed sanctions on NtechLab and their products such as FindFace for providing technical or material support for serious human rights violations in Russia. A year after the World Cup, NtechLab sold FindFace to Iran alongside other countries, routed through shell companies into the hands of the Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah, so FindFace, as you said, is a facial recognition software that is made by a Russian company called NtechLab. And what we reveal at Forbidden Stories in our investigation that was published yesterday, Eyes of Iran, is that the Iranian regime secretly acquired it in 2019. We obtained a data leak of confidential documents from Iranian and also Russian companies, more advanced than what experts thought the regime had in its hands.
Give us a concrete example how, for instance, it could have been put to use back in January during the crackdown on those protests.
Sure. So this tool has actually two ways it can work. So the first one is what they call the offline mode. So you can just record videos on the street during a demonstration, for example, or use CCTV camera feeds, or also videos that people put on social media. And then you run it through that software, and that software actually has an algorithm that compares the faces that you see in the video with a database that you provided.
The surveillance didn't stop at your face. Like the 2026 games we open on, it ran in layers. And securing a stadium is one thing, but what's the excuse for scoring a crowd's emotions and wiretapping their phones? Russia deployed a system called Viber-Image, claiming to score your aggression, your stress, your state of mind, off the micro movements of your head. Then the wiretap. In their own words, companies found out days before, and even the state news agency couldn't say they'd had time to prepare. At the midpoint of the tournament, the law took effect. Every major network forced to store the content of your messages for 6 months. Calls, images, texts, even the country's largest email providers, Mail.ru and Yandex. And the digital ID we covered earlier, it didn't stay with the World Cup. Built for the tournament in 2018, Putin signed it into law in December 2021. It then took force in June 2022. And not just for the games. The fans fought it, but nothing changed. In 2026, you still need it for any stadium. But the stadium was never the point, it was the rehearsal. Russia is now rolling out a digital ID for everything, tied to the state's biometric database, folded into a single app called Max. It holds your messages, your money, your government paperwork, and your identity all at once. Since September 2025, every phone sold in Russia ships with it pre-installed. And it isn't only Russia. Here in the UK, the same idea is already arriving. The gov.uk wallet, your government documents moved onto your phone. Then the scope widens. A law called EDAS2 states every country in the European Union must offer all 450 million citizens a digital ID wallet by the end of 2026, and by 2030, mass adoption by everyone. Noticing a pattern here? Careful now.